One of the best ways for us to escape from the outside world when things are just feeling a little bit too chaotic and too loud and too crazy is to have a home that we can go to and just feel like we can. And one of the best ways to get that kind of a home is through a method called slow design. Never heard of it? Well, we're going to talk about it right now. Hello everyone, Larissa here, and this video comes to you via Of Houses and Trees, where I blog about sustainable design, sustainable living, sustainable everything. I also have e-design over there, so if that is something that you're interested in, getting somebody like me who can help someone like you to create a sustainable, carefully curated, conscious home, I would love for you to go and check that out. All right, so slow design. So if you've ever heard of the slow food movement, then you probably have an idea of what slow design means. Slow food movement is kind of a return to how people used to eat, which of course was locally, by preparing food either by themselves or buying it from, local people that grow their own food, or you grow your own food. You're not only accessing this food in a slower, more meaningful way, but you're also eating it in a slower, more meaningful way, just so that you can really appreciate it. So slow design is very much like that. The term itself is first credited to Alistair Fod-Luke back in 2002. It's not a term that's really hit the mainstream yet, kind of like slow food or even slow fashion. I know some people are starting to talk a lot about that as a counter movement to fast fashion, but slow design needs to be a counter movement to this sort of hyper fast consumerism that we often are bringing into our homes, meaning buying fast furniture, things that are just cheap and not well made and probably exploited the people who were the ones who made them, not created ethically, and they don't last for very long, and they're not made out of sustainable materials. And not just furniture, but of course the decor and the accessories and the art and the everything that we bring into our home. We have to really be more conscious about what those things are because it's our home. So there are actually 6 principles of slow design from Alistair Fod-Luke and Carolyn F. Strauss in their document, Slow Design Principles, which I will link to below. It's quite a lengthy document, but if this sort of thing interests you, you might really want to get into it. If you don't, then I'm going to just quickly summarize it right now for you. So those 6 principles are: reveal, expand, reflect, engage, participate, and evolve. Reveal is all about considering things that may have been forgotten about, using local materials, or not just always going for what's on trend or what's happening right now, thinking about really what makes sense for you and your home. Expand is all about using our imaginations, thinking about things in a way that we don't normally do before. And that can be tricky because, with social media and all of the different ways that information is constantly being thrown at us, it can be hard to differentiate what our thoughts are and what the thoughts are of the things that have been presented to us. So that's where the slowing down of design and the expanding stage of that process really comes in. Reflect. The term for this principle I love, and it's called reflective consumption. So I really just think that that is a term that I feel like it should be taught in school. It's really the same idea as conscious consumerism, reflective consumption, not just consuming, buying, doing things just because we can. We really need to consider them before we do those things. Engage. So this is really fun because it's about community. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to consult your neighborhood or your community about what's going on in your home. It's more so about feeling like the creation of your interior is a collaborative process. It is a collaborative process. Even if you live by yourself, the things that you buy, the people that you buy them from, the people who even come into your home, they're all part of a larger network. And thinking about that might make you make some different choices that could surprise you in a good way. For participate, the way that you could do this would be that you could create things for your home yourself. So you could DIY stuff, you could create artwork, you could work with your family to create things for your home. You could go and see somebody. So say you're having someone build you a piece of furniture, you could go and visit them in their workshop, really being an active participant in the things that are coming into your home. And the last one is evolve, which I personally love the idea of a constant evolution as human beings, but also just as, people who live in a house that want their house to look nice and to feel nice. Don't be afraid to go outside of your area of comfort. Sometimes people really like about the idea of sustainable items or sustainable design because they assume that it's just expensive or out of reach, or maybe it's kind of snobby or something to that effect. But there's actually so many ways to do sustainability. Sometimes just living with what you already have. What could be slower than that? Now we've talked about slow design. What is a slow interior? And it would be the interior space that now exists because you have slowed down the process to create that space. It's also about more than just the physical space. It's about kind of a lifestyle as well. So slow living is a lifestyle movement that ties very well into slow design. It's about being conscious and about embracing things as they are. What if something that you bought for your home, you just really took the time to be grateful for it, and about the craftsmanship of it, or about, you know, the distance that it traveled to get to you, or about its history, where it came from. I really feel like that would help us to really cultivate a practice of gratitude with our homes, and also maybe it would spill into the rest of our lives. You know, the word slow is like, in our society, it's kind of like a dirty word, like something that's slow is a bad thing. You know, everything has to be like fast, it has to be now. But what if we really did slow down? What kind of world would we be living in then? And now that we know about slow design and about slow interiors, let's talk about my 5 tips for creating a slow home. Tip number 1 would be to, of course, take your time. Allowing your home space to be something that you take your time to mull over. You bring things in slowly, one at a time. It helps you to really appreciate it. It also helps you to figure out exactly what your aesthetic is. As I talked about, you know, we're often fed all this information. We don't necessarily know where we end and the information begins. So taking your time will help you to hopefully discover what it is that you actually want. Actually, over my blog, I use this as an example of an area of my home that has taken me 2 years to create. It's different now than it would have been if I would have done it right away. I'm really happy with it because everything, even in just this little tiny area that you can see right here, has a story. Like this picture frame right here, I got shopping at a local like antique mall with my mom. I purchased this horse sketch from an artist called Danielle Demers on Etsy. Right here, this is one of my many Medalta pottery that I have. Medalta is actually a Albertan company, which is, I live in Alberta, Canada. And people used to use these pots like to make sauerkraut or to store potatoes in. This brass table right down here that you can see the edge of, I got from another Etsy seller. Her shop is called Love It Again by Leslie. Talking about slow design, I saw it and I kept telling myself that I shouldn't probably buy it. We shouldn't be spending money on those sorts of things right now. But I couldn't stop thinking about it. So 3 months later, I went back. It was still there and I did end up buying it, and I'm so glad that I did. But that's one way to know for sure if you love something, is to take your time. It's one of those things that if you're worried that it's not going to be there when you go back, you kind of have to take the stance of like, it wasn't meant to be. If you take your time and it's something that you do end up with, it just makes it that much more sweet. Think about when people are making things by hand, the amount of work and skill that goes into them. Handmade things are just a really great way to curate a slow home. Local could mean anything from local in your hometown to your province or state, even your own country. I really try to buy things that are Canadian when I can. I also like to buy things from the United States because they are neighbors. It's just more about looking for local things first, or incorporating local things into your home when you can. Tip number 4 is to invest in slow furniture. So well-made, sustainably made, handmade furniture, it is an investment. I feel like some of the things that we bring in our home should be an investment. I mean, our homes themselves are an investment, whether we do own them or whether we rent them. It's something that we put a lot of money and care towards. So the things that we bring into them should also be things that are considered investments. And I mean, I understand that people can't always afford that type of thing. And if you can't afford it, then there are other ways to be sustainable, like thrifting and secondhand, or having hand-me-downs. We have so many hand-me-down pieces of furniture in our home. But if you can invest in something, even if it's just one piece, something that you could maybe be the one who then hands down to future generations in your family, I feel like that would be really cool. And my last tip for creating a slow home, for following the slow design process, is to not shop, but collect. If you think of everything in your home as something that you are collecting, something that you are going to proudly display or proudly use. You're just going to really enjoy having around, and you're going to have around for many, many, many years to come. And shopping is just, it can be something that's sort of a mindless activity, and I'm not judging because I have certainly been known to do this, especially in the past. I feel like I've gotten much better. If we think about the things that we're bringing into our home as things we're collecting and not just buying, it becomes about the long term. And slow design is all about the long term. It's all about where the things that are in the design process and the things that are in our home started, where they end up in the middle, and where they end up all the way at the end. So it's actually, instead of being a linear process, it is a circle. That is it for this video. As I mentioned, I have eDesign, so if you need help creating a slow home, I would love to be the person who would do that for you. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye. It's not something that you know. It's my mom. Mom, stop texting me because I am making a video right now. Just kidding. I love that. What was I talking about? I feel like I should make a song, because I think in every video I have some bullet where I'm like, what was I talking about?